tonight. Rain is helping the fire situation in the Northwest Territories as Saskatchewan sends resources to help battle the fires. Also, Saskatchewan's livestock producers get an injection of cash from the province to help battle extreme drought. Plus,
to be honest, it screwed up my mind.
She spent 30 years in the prison system. Now, Odelia Cusance says she's struggling with her newfound freedom.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Monday, August 21st, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams in for Sam McKeag tonight. Thanks for joining us. The Saskatchewan government has been helping firefighters in Yellowknife by sending air tankers and a crew to battle flames. The province says it's also ready to help with temporary accommodations if needed. But tonight, the situation in the north is improving thanks to a change in the weather. Sam Sampson has the latest.
Overnight rainfall on Sunday significantly helped the firefighting effort, so much so that the plan of attack has now changed. So almost 5 millimeters of rain fell on the fire that is threatening Yellowknife. In that city alone, the city recorded up to 10 millimeters in some areas. So that plus the winds are helping. They shifted several times on Monday, but forecasters hoped that the winds actually push the fire west, which will make the fire reaching the city pretty unlikely. All of that is helping change the plan of attack. So now, rather than just trying to make sure that the fire doesn't get to Yellowknife, fire officials say that they're looking at trying to extinguish that fire that is more than 167,000 hectares. We're talking more than 40 kilometers of hot wildfire. Now that change is something that is good news for those evacuees that are spread out across the West. More than 19,000 people were forced from their homes because of all these fires in the Northwest Territories. Some are in Vancouver, in Winnipeg. In Calgary alone, almost 2,500 people are in that city, and thousands are in Edmonton.
As can be expected, it's quite a lot of people. I mean, Yellowknife is 20,000. Hay River is 3,000 to 4,000 people. Plus you have Fort Smith as well. So as you can imagine, it's a lot of people to take care of, and they're doing the best they can with the resources that they have.
As for when these thousands of evacuees can come back, that is still very much unknown. The mayor of Yellowknife and other school divisions in that city say it's very unlikely that students will be going back to school on their original start date, August 28th, just a week from Monday. And so because of all of that and this still unsafe situation, the mayor of Yellowknife says it is too soon to tell when people can come back to their homes.
To date, the fire is still a threat, and we don't have a date for when folks can come back.
Though the fire evacuation deadline has passed, it was Friday at noon, Yellowknife's mayor is still urging people who can leave to do so. She says there are about 2,600 people in Yellowknife still. Now, about 1,000 of those are essential workers, but the capacity in the city to do something in case there is an emergency is very, very low. So if you have not left Yellowknife yet, the mayor says now is the time to go. Because even though there are these favorable weather conditions at the moment, the situation is still unsafe. Sam Sampson, CBC News, Regina.
And there are also signs of success in the fight against wildfires near Kelowna. There have been no new reports of destroyed homes since the weekend. Officials say they're now taking stock of the damage, but the situation remains critical in the Shuswap area to the north. Mira Baines has more.
Better weather conditions for southern BC are allowing firefighters to make progress. Cooler temperatures and changes in wind direction and possible rain from the remnants of Hurricane Hilary down south could bring relief Tuesday. We're also getting news about how many homes have been lost in West Kelowna, a hard-hit area here in the Okanagan.
I can report today that I have a loss estimate for the neighborhoods that we have visited. This number is an estimate, and it represents full and partial losses within the neighborhoods. We estimate that there's approximately 50 structures.
Still no information about how many homes and businesses were lost in Scotch Creek in the Shuswap area. Provincial officials also addressed reports of wildfire tourism.
Listen to and respect the travel order. It is critical that we keep the roads clear, that we keep the hotels available for people.
EB is expected to visit communities affected by fire tomorrow. BC wildfire officials are also responding to criticism over a planned ignition after residents complained that it contributed to damage. They deny it caused two major fires to merge.
Unfortunately, with the wind that we knew was forecast and that was coming, that fire went above the control line that we burned off from and then swept back into the communities in the North Shuswap.
For people evacuated from homes, local government and provincial officials are trying to bring in more personnel to help with emergency support services to clear a backlog of hundreds of people waiting for help. Mira Baines, CBC News, Kelowna.
Justin Trudeau says it's essential that people are able to share information about the fires. Meta, which is the company that runs Facebook and Instagram, began blocking Canadian news after the government passed a law in June. It requires social media platforms to pay Canadian publishers when their content is shared on the platforms.
Right now, in an emergency situation, where up-to-date local information is more important than ever, Facebook's putting corporate profits ahead of people's safety, ahead of supporting quality local journalism. This is not the time for that.
The Prime Minister made the remarks on Prince Edward Island, where he is meeting with his newly shuffled cabinet for the next few days. It's to lay out an agenda for the upcoming parliamentary session. And from the fires to the prairie drought now, Saskatchewan livestock producers have been dealing with prolonged dry conditions, and now the provincial government is stepping in to lend a hand. Today, the province announced it will provide $70 million to help offset high costs and maintain the breeding herd. Eligible producers can get up to $80 per head.
We really felt the timing was important. From what I heard from the ranchers is they were starting to make those decisions on whether they were going to downsize their herd or what they were going to do. So it was very important for us to get this announcement out as soon as possible.
The program applies to beef cattle, bison, horse, elk, deer, sheep, and goat. It will be administered through Saskatchewan Crop Insurance Corporation. The minister also confirmed the federal government may provide additional support for livestock producers or help split the cost with the province. Meanwhile, the province is counting on nuclear power to be a major part of its future power generation, but the technology it's hoping to lean on is costly and not yet operational in this country. This weekend, the federal government was in Saskatoon announcing it would inject money into nuclear power, but as Adam Hunter reports, the province wasn't there to hear it.
On Saturday, Federal Minister of Energy and Natural Resources Jonathan Wilkinson announced a $74 million investment into the development of small modular nuclear reactors. The reactors would generate between 200 and 300 megawatts, enough to power 300,000 homes. The hope is that SMRs will be part of the province's transition toward non-emitting energy over the next decade. The federal government says SMRs are part of its goal in getting to a net zero grid by 2035.
Nuclear energy is going to be part of the energy mix of the future as we move towards a non-emitting grid. It is not a silver bullet. It's not going to be used everywhere for everything, but it is absolutely something that many jurisdictions are going to rely on as part of their overall energy mix.
No one from SaskPower or the provincial government was in attendance for Wilkinson's announcement. This comes after criticism from the Saskatchewan government that a net zero grid by 2035 is unrealistic and too expensive. The province is committed to getting there in 2050, 15 years later. In a statement to CBC, the provincial government says it did not have anyone at Saturday's announcement because, quote, the contribution agreement is currently being finalized by officials. The statement went on to say, the government of Saskatchewan maintains the expectation that the federal government contribute 75% of the cost of Saskatchewan's potential first SMR. While the $74 million contribution is welcome, it remains a small fraction of the investment that will be required for SaskPower to meet the federal government's clean electricity regulations. The statement also says significant financial support from the federal government is required for Saskatchewan to transition while maintaining a reliable electricity system, meeting the needs of a growing economy and keeping rates as affordable as possible. The opposition NDP says the government should have been at the announcement.
What we've seen from this government is a pretty consistent pattern of behavior, and unfortunately it's leaving Saskatchewan. We're not even at the table. They have us sitting at the kids' table, quite frankly.
The funding from the federal government and the province's commitment to SMRs does not make them any closer to a reality. Last September, Sask Power announced it had chosen areas of the province as potential sites for SMRs: Elbow, near Lake Diefenbaker, and Estevan. Sask Power says it will make a decision on whether to go ahead with SMRs in 2029. Adam Hunter, CBC News, Regina.
RCMP are now confirming the deaths of 2 people in Broadview last week was a murder-suicide. On Wednesday, a 52-year-old man and a 54-year-old woman were found dead inside of a home on the 900 block of Front Street. Initially, police confirmed the 2 people knew each other but wouldn't say much more. Now, RCMP confirmed this was a domestic incident and the woman was the victim of a homicide. They say no additional charges will be laid. Family members have been notified and offered support from victim services. Odelia and Narissa Cusance spent 3 decades in and out of the Canadian prison system. The Soto sisters have been out on conditional release for nearly 5 months now, but they're finding it hard to adjust to their freedom. Dane Patterson has more.
Odelia has been outside of Saskatchewan since her release back in March, but she says she'd rather be in her small room than outside in the open air. After more than 30 years of sleeping in rooms that often aren't her own, she finds her newfound freedom uncomfortable.
I'm always in my room and I feel safe in there, and then I go sit in my own living room. But I don't know, I just don't feel, just get a lot's to get used to.
Decades in and out of correctional facilities and on parole have taken their toll.
To be honest, it screwed up my mind and my sister's mind, because I'm so used to being watched and getting things done. I feel like I can't do nothing because I've always got things done.
Odelia's daughters were born when she was on parole. The past 5 months have been the longest they've seen their mother without her having to return to a correctional facility. Odelia says her daughters are also adjusting.
My one daughter woke up and I wasn't in bed. I just went outside, right, to have a smoke. And then right away she was like, "Where's mom? Where's mom?" You know, like just panicking. And she's, "Oh, she's outside," you know. So, you know what, we're working on a lot of that issues, abandonment issues.
The sisters were convicted in 1994 of killing a Kamsack farmer named Anthony Joseph Dolph. But that conviction is under a judicial review. It's the last option for people appealing their convictions. In the meantime, Odelia is reconnecting with people she hasn't seen much. She's returned to Kiskous First Nation a handful of times since being arrested there in 1993. The shadow of the review and the conditions she's under still shackle Odelia. Her sister Narissa has been staying with Congress of Aboriginal Peoples Vice Chief Kim Bowden.
It hasn't been easy. I know that, for both of them. And with Narissa, I get a first-hand look at, you know, her struggles and what she's going through. It's been tough.
Both Bowden and Odelia are hoping to hear a positive result from the review, and soon. Odelia says she won't feel free until she does, but the appeal decision could take years. Dane Patterson, CBC News, Saskatoon.
First Nations leaders gathered at James Smith Cree Nation for a health conference that will continue all week. They're also giving thanks to those who helped them deal with last year's tragic mass stabbing. It's almost been a year now since 11 people were killed and 17 were injured by James Smith resident Miles Sanderson. Sanderson died shortly after a massive 3-day manhunt. People who helped after the tragedy were celebrated at today's event. Community leaders also acknowledged the pain the community has endured.
You know, I pray on behalf of all the families here that lost loved ones. Condolences, and I pray that the Creator will share with them the peace that our loved ones enjoy in the spirit world. I pray that they'll uplift the spirits of all of us that are in mourning, because each and every one of us lost family members on that day of September 4th. And not only that, but all the membership here, all the families here that attended to their loved ones that day, all traumatized by the sights and the chaos and the devastation of that day.
The RCMP were also on hand. It vowed to recruit more Indigenous cadets in an effort to bring a more representative police force and to support the move toward a self-administered policing on reserves. Well, a bit of rain on the plants in Saskatoon this morning. It's a bit too late, of course, for those dealing with drought, but it has made things look a bit more alive. After our cloudy, dreary day, there is more rain on the way, much more in some places. Meteorologist John Sauter has our forecast when we come back. Welcome back. A big win in Riderville last night as the Riders defeated the BC Lions 34-29 on home turf. And it was a nail-biter. The Riders survived a furious fourth quarter rally by BC. The Lions scoring 16 straight points. That put them within 3 points of the Riders with only about 2 minutes left. But a Riders field goal put a stop to that. This win brings the Riders to 5-5 on the record, and it also marked Jake Dolegala's first start as quarterback. The Riders now enter a bye week before hosting the Labor Day Classic against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on September 3rd.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. Employee pricing is on now.
Well, gray skies throughout much of the southern half of the province today, including Saskatoon, as you see there. And there will be rain falling from those clouds soon enough. Meteorologist John Sauter is here now with our forecast. John?
Well, thanks, Ethan. Looking at current weather alerts, and the only one that we have in Saskatchewan is wildfire smoke and an air quality advisory in the extreme northwest corner of the province. Of course, this continues across northern Alberta, northwest territories in the Yellowknife area, and plenty of that same kind of air quality index happening through BC. The larger red dots you see, those are all of the active fires that are not under control. Plenty of that up to the northwest, and of course in British Columbia, and a few in Saskatchewan, but there's a feed of moisture coming from post-tropical storm Hillary that happened in the California coast over the weekend, bringing some moisture into the southern prairies. Showers, even thunderstorms stretching from Swift Current up into areas like Prince Albert and Saskatoon overnight tonight, and some of this will feed back into BC in the coming days. Not so much in the northern prairies, though. Very dry conditions will continue there. Here's a look at Futurecast, and you can see that tonight through Saskatoon, through central parts of the province, we're seeing some showers and storms. And then it sort of clears up here in the far south, and this is where temperatures will be very warm. Also warm in the north, but central portions of the province will continue to see showers and storms and cooler weather through the day on Tuesday. Into Wednesday, some of this moisture is wrapping back through Alberta and thankfully through BC, but hopefully it's more rain than it is thunderstorm activity and lightning. Here's projected rainfall amounts over the next 36 hours, and you can see that the central part of the province will get much, much more rain between now and Wednesday morning early than will areas to the south and to the north. Just a few showers in Regina tonight. Could see a thunderstorm around Yorkton. In the southwest, we're looking at showers and storms possible, and then even up into central Saskatchewan, Saskatoon, showers and storms tonight. You could see 15 to 20 millimeters, and then across the north, the weather is drier, and tomorrow the weather is a little bit brighter. 24 in Uranium City tomorrow, although hazy. Still showers, thunderstorms around Prince Albert. In the southwest, morning chance for a storm, and then things may even clear up a little bit in the afternoon. And look at the difference in temperature. Saskatoon, you saw 18, but 28 in Regina, 30 in Assiniboia. In the long range, it's seasonably warm here through Regina, with more rain on the way Wednesday and Thursday, but then we really start to warm up and dry out again for the weekend, all the way to 29 Sunday, 32 on Monday. And then in Saskatoon, it's relatively cool and unsettled through the week, but again, a warm up coming for the weekend with upper 20s, even to 30 by this time next week. Ethan?
Thanks, John. Well, it was a valiant effort, but Team Canada has been eliminated from the Little League World Series in Pennsylvania. The team, of course, made up of the North Regina Little League All-Stars, who won the Canadian Little League Championship earlier this month. The team had a 1-1 record heading into yesterday's must-win match against Mexico, but they were defeated 10-1. Big congrats, though, to the team for making it that far and, of course, for doing us proud. We are back after the break.
When it comes to your news, you want up-to-the-minute access. Anytime, anywhere. Get the facts straight from the source. Download the free CBC News app or visit cbcnews.ca for news you can trust.
The remnants of Tropical Storm Hilary are expected to blow into British Columbia in the coming days. There are hopes the rains will help quench some of the fires, but there are concerns winds could cause more problems. The storm has been battering northern Mexico and the southwestern United States. Parts of Southern California received a year's worth of rain in just 24 hours. Up to 25 centimeters fell in some areas. It's the most severe weather to hit the area in more than 80 years. Flash flooding caused landslides and washed out roads, leaving people stranded in several communities in the Coachella Valley. The storm continues to move north. More than 17 million people are under flooding and high wind advisories, watches, and warnings stretching from the Mexico border to northern Idaho.
Well, here is a look at your Regina weather for tonight and tomorrow. A few showers overnight tonight and early tomorrow. We'll only get down to 16, a little on the breezy side as well. Southeast around 20 to 30. In the morning, we'll start to see some sunny breaks, but a mainly cloudy sky and a temperature right around 19. The brighter weather happens later in the day. Saskatoon, showers, risk of a storm tonight. 16 is your midnight temperature. Could see 15 to 20 millimeters when you put together tonight's rain and tomorrow's, but it will start to wrap up well before lunchtime. A few showers in the morning, temperature of 15, east winds at 20 to 30, and then things start to dry out a little bit later in the day in Saskatoon. Ethan?
Thank you, John. And before we leave you tonight, 91-year-old Nat Bates is revisiting his summer baseball games in Saskatchewan this week, and he's doing so in front of a theater full of fans in Indian Head. Bates was inducted into Saskatchewan's Baseball Hall of Fame over the weekend. He was recognized for being part of the Indian Head Rockets, a team of all-black players who came from California just to be able to play baseball. Some fans have watched all his games, and they lined up today to catch a glimpse of him on stage. Bates says he appreciates all the love from Canadian fans.
Most people can't even remember 70 years what they look like, but for people to come forward and show that kind of respect after such a long, long period of time, of which I had forgotten most of it, has to be tremendously rewarding.
We enjoyed that here. Hot summers and baseball, and he said, I thought the cars, I would go there and there was nobody there, and then all of a sudden the whole grounds was filled with cars. I don't know where they just come out of the ground, but they were there. Everybody supported them.
And the Rockets competed with teams from across the prairies in the 40s and 50s. Today's reunion also saw fans get together for a screening of CBC's documentary featuring the Rockets called Golden Opportunity. And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, of course, you can always head to our website, cbc.ca/sask, or you can subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel or download the CBC News app. I'll be back with more local news and weather tonight at 11. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.